Come on. We will win. Because we will hit all game. We are motivated. We are dedicated. Come on now. Come on now. We will win. Because we are the best on the field. And we hit the field light, all day light, all night light, on the blue light, offense light, defense light, his squad light, house call light, and the sound light, and the sound light, and the sound light.
I'ma do this here forever.
EQ.
Forever.
Triune.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I'ma do this here forever.
Let's go.
All you haters better get comfy. This the day you've been waiting on. Y'all road is finna get bumpy. This the track I'm making my statement on. I ain't going nowhere. This the place that I'm making home. I'll do this shit forever. Hit the gas and I'm taking off. Ow. I was born with passion. My job is never ending and my hustle's everlasting. No matter what, I'm gon' ball.
Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I am your host Daniel Short. Today is Friday, December 4th, 2015. Hello everybody. I'm glad to have you guys on here listening to the show. And it is a bright sunny day here in San Marcos, Texas. It's absolutely beautiful. Welcome everybody. What a crazy night it was. I'm trying to just regain my strength here. Watching the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions go at it. Definitely something else of a game after the Lions were up big 17-0, even 20-0, just for the Green Bay Packers to come back to win 26-3 or 27-3, whatever the score was, after a Hail Mary. Unbelievable. And guys, they covered. They covered on the spread. That's all I wanted, because at work we do our separate little picks and everything, and everybody except for one coworker had picked the Green Bay Packers, mainly because two of them are Green Bay Packers fans. The other one, we just went with the spread, and it looked like, wow, we were completely, wrong. We're just idiots. The Lions got this. And then they just fall apart. Granted, there was possibly a face mask penalty that probably shouldn't have been called. Just might have should not have been called. It was, and the Green Bay Packers go on to win. But I don't know, that pass interference, though, that looked like it probably should have been pass interference. I don't know. That's just me. I don't know. But anyways, we have a ton of college football news to talk about. Just 7, count them, 7 college football head coaching openings left. That is it. That is all she wrote, with just 7 left. And probably, 3 or 4 will be agreed to right after this show. So, that's just how the thing works. But as you guys heard in the intro, that was Triune and E.Q. A special thanks to both of them and UNO Entertainment for letting the Short Sports Show use their brand new single, Forever, for our new intro. You can buy Triune's album, Raised to Fail, Born to Succeed, on iTunes right now. Go get it if you haven't already. It gets you pumped. You already know it. You've heard it for multiple weeks now. It gets me pumped. It gets you pumped. It gets everybody pumped. Go buy it now on iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker. It's not on Spreaker. I don't know why I said Spreaker. iTunes, YouTube, everywhere and anywhere. Go buy it now. You can follow Triune on Twitter at itriune.com. Also on his website, therealtriune.com. Facebook, Instagram. He even has his own YouTube channel where he talks about sports as well. That is all on his. All his links are in the description below. You can go check it out. EQ also as well. We have their interview. We got it. They will be on the show today. Just probably after college football and the NFL talk and do our picks, we'll throw in the interview. It was a great interview with those guys, and hopefully we'll have on the show once again, because they made an incredible interview. It was awesome. So thank you, and special shout out to those guys for letting us use the song Forever. And they got some other stuff they're working on, which is going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. But first, let's talk about some college football news. As Houston and head coach Todd Herman, I told everybody that Todd Herman was going to stay at Houston. I don't know why people took it as such a just crazy thought that he would stay at Houston after a successful year. They thought he would just go off to a bigger school, to Georgia, to wherever, that he would just leave Houston like that. They don't understand his roots to Texas. They don't understand what he's trying to do and build at Houston. He has agreed this morning to a 5-year, $2.8 million annual deal, and includes $200,000 more for his staff as well. They get a raise. Again, it's a 5-year, $2.8 million annually deal for Todd Herman to stay at the University of Houston. I love it. I'm not a Houston fan. I mean, I don't dislike him either, but this is perfect for him. I really do believe whether he stays the next 5 years, who knows? I'm not saying it's going to go that far, because I know he's a hot name that everybody wants. Seeing what he just did after a year with Houston, taking over not even his own roster. It's just incredible that people thought he would actually leave after just 1 year. I knew he wouldn't. Bam, this proves it. I'm excited for them. The recruiting has gone great for them. It's the H-Town takeover on Twitter. But yeah, I'm just glad Todd Herman staying at Houston. Obviously, it's hurting TCU in recruiting a bit, but honestly, it's nice to see Houston do well. And I wish some way Houston could join the Big 12 or something. But I don't think obviously the Big 12 doesn't even want to expand. But I don't think they would ever add another Texas team with the already, 4 or 5 Texas? You got Baylor, Texas Tech, TCU, 4 right there. So I don't think they're going to add Houston. But if they did, it'd be fun. And it might actually keep Todd Herman at Houston if they were to join the Big 12. But who knows? Some injury news. Just one quick injury news before we get back to coaching. And that's 10th ranked North Carolina won't have their starting safety for the rest of the season because of a torn left Achilles tendon. The school announced Thursday that Smiley, or his name was Sam Smiley, I think I just passed on this name, had surgery Wednesday to repair an injury suffered last weekend in a victory over North Carolina State. He is tied 5th on the team for 48 tackles, so huge loss for them. They're going to need everybody they can get to play an explosive Clemson team for the ACC championship this Saturday or tomorrow. I can't believe it's already tomorrow. College football, it's just gone so fast. It's so sad. Just like that, it's already conference championship week. I remember when it was just week 1. It felt like it was just week 1 week ago. Sad. So yeah. Huge loss for North Carolina to not have him. Memphis, they've quickly replaced Justin Fuente with Arizona State offensive coordinator Mike Noville as its head coach. Now, Noville replaces, again, Justin Fuente, who was hired by Virginia Tech on Sunday after 4 years at Memphis. And, of course, Fuente came from TCU as the offensive coordinator to Memphis. But Noville will take a program in a much better shape than Fuente had in the beginning. The Tigers had gone 5-31 in the 3 years before Justin Fuente was there. Now they've been 10-3 the past 2 years, won a bowl game, and finished in the top 25 for the first time at the end of the season rankings in Memphis history. So he's obviously taking a better spot for Noville than Fuente when he got there. Now Noville, he might have to replace redshirt junior Paxton Lynch, who threw for over 3,600 yards, 28 touchdowns, only 3 picks this season. He is all but gone basically to the NFL after this year. But, Noville, he knows how to work an offense. He had struggled a little bit this year with Arizona State, but after last year, did pretty well. He knows how to recruit, get a quarterback in there, fix his system going, and, basically post the same thing on offense. I mean, you look at what Arizona State did this year with just an average year. They finished 6-6 in a tough Pac-12 South. They averaged 474 yards of offense and 33.8 points a game, basically 34 points per game. Not bad. I mean, you do that in the AAC, you're doing it. You're in a great spot. Also, Memphis is also working on an indoor practice facility. Local officials are talking about further improvements to Liberty Bowl Memorial Stadium as well. So, they're trying to get this program up because They also are a team or a university that's hoping to join the Big 12 or another big, conference or something. Big 12, it makes sense. They got a great basketball program. Baseball, I don't really know. Football, obviously in a much better spot now. Makes sense, and it's in Nashville, Tennessee. Great recruiting area. But this is, a really good spot for Noville to go and take his head coaching job. And Memphis, while it's not the most flashy name for either one, I think they're going to do pretty well next year. Even without Paxton Lynch, I think he's going to be able to put a quarterback in there, run that system. Defense is where I have a question at, what they can do. I don't know their schedule. Obviously, we'll talk about that once we get into, next season. But I don't think it's a bad hire at all for Memphis. I think it's a great job, and I think the offense is still going to be fine. Here's where I was scratching my head, though. Will Muschamp, Greg Schiano, and Rich Rodriguez are going to interview for the South Carolina head coaching job. This is where I scratch my head. Why would South Carolina want a failure in Will Muschamp as their head coach? Rich Rodriguez, it's iffy, but I don't know if I would really. He'd be like, a fourth or fifth option if it came down to it. Greg Schiano, obviously a terrible coach in the NFL, but, we've also seen Nick Saban be a terrible coach in the NFL, and look what he's done. Can't really judge him that. Greg Schiano, I believe, was at Rutgers before going on. He's okay. He's okay. I don't know. The way it kind of ended in the NFL with the players, I don't think I would want him. I think he's also like a fifth or sixth option if it came down to it. The guy who, if I'm South Carolina, who I want is two people right here. Oklahoma offensive coordinator Lincoln Riley is also on the South Carolina interview list. He is my top priority if I'm South Carolina. While the interim head coach, Sean Elliott, interviewed on Wednesday. Those two coaches right there are my first and second options. Lincoln Riley, what he's able to do with an offense is incredible, and he is just more fit to me for that South Carolina job. I think recruiting would shoot up immediately, especially offensively. And, you think about the weapons that, the offensive weapons that go to South Carolina. They're just incredible. You've had Alshon Jeffrey. You now have Farrell Cooper. Imagine these guys playing for an offensive mind genius like Lincoln Riley. If he can do good in Eastern Carolina, and he can do, obviously at Oklahoma, he can do good in South Carolina. He can do great. I think that is my number one guy. After that, Sean Elliott would be my next guy. I think he can bring some energy, and having a guy in that system, I don't think you really have to go outside too much unless it's Lincoln Riley. I think Sean Elliott can provide this program better in a positive way, both winning and off the field, than Rich Rodriguez, Greg Schiano, and especially Will Muschamp. I think Will Muschamp shouldn't even be in question. If he can't win at Florida, which is a much, much better program than South Carolina, let's all face it. It's much better. If he can't win there, what makes you think he can win at South Carolina? If South Carolina ends up hiring Will Muschamp, I will never, ever cover South Carolina in anything. I don't care what the news is, because I will never talk trash. And that's trash right there. That's trash if Will Muschamp goes to South Carolina. It'd just be terrible. So I think your number two, your top two guys has to be Lincoln Riley and Sean Elliott, given what you got now. And I go Lincoln Riley first. Keep Sean Elliott. If you could get both, woo, that would be something. That would be something if you could keep both. Obviously, there's probably a good shot at that. If you get Sean Elliott, obviously you won't get Lincoln Riley, but Lincoln Riley has to be the go-to guy for this. But we will see. Other SEC news, because, that's all great. Not really. Missouri promoted its defensive coordinator, Barry Odom, to become the program's new head coach. And I love this one. I truly do. Odom agreed to a 5-year contract, who replaces Gary Pinkel after his retirement. Odom is a Missouri graduate. He was a defensive coordinator last season for Missouri after returning from Memphis. Great pick. He was actually one of the favorites to replace Fuente at Memphis, but the school didn't make a great offer that Odom saw fit, said no, and just waited on the Missouri job, and it came to him. And I think it's great. Obviously, this defense is just incredible. For Missouri offense, they got nothing. So he's got it. Honestly, if I'm him, I fire everybody that's on that offensive staff, and you start over. You get any offensive genius you can find out there, and go from there. Just don't come to TCU. Don't pick any of our guys. We just got one to say no to UNT. We're hoping Cumbie says no to Texas. Don't come after our guys. Don't come after TCU. But Barry Odom, I think, is a great pick for this Missouri team. He's going to be able to continue to recruit great defensive players to Missouri, and then he's just got to focus on this offense to get it straight. Once he does that, Missouri's back to, remember their first 2 years, they were in the SEC championship. Let's see if they can do it again. So I like it. My favorite, and I think the winner of it all right now, I don't know, Justin Fuente to Virginia Tech, that might be a winner. It is a winner. So I guess tied for first place right now. We got another news. Okay, just another great pick. Just another great pick overall. Miami announced Mark Rich as its new head football coach officially today, even though it's been almost a week. Which is perfect. Now I tweeted because I heard something. I talked to a little bird, and the little bird told me that Mark Rich was going to be announced as head football coach. And at the time, it was earlier this week. I tweeted it. He said later this week. And of course, because one of the few to break it, you have a lot of those. Oh, it's a fake. It's a hoax. And I had this one dude who just kept going on thinking it was a fake and a hoax. And I was like, okay. Relax. This is what I heard. You don't believe it? That's fine. Move about your day. Obviously, it happens, and speechless. That's what I thought. So, the guy, if he's listening, I told you so. And, I don't know. Anyways, I was excited for this. This is who I wanted Miami to get if it wasn't Butch Davis. And honestly, Mark Rich is a ton better than Butch Davis. Mark Rich is going to bring life to this Miami, which is what it needed. It was such a dead program right now. And now Mark Rich is being able to hopefully make Miami back to the U. Now, don't get me wrong. If I can find his name, Larry Scott. He did a good job. Went 4-1. Probably should have gone 3-2 because of the lateral situation. But 4-1 overall. Finished the team 8-4. Much better than what Al Golden could have done. But Mark Rich is just perfect. He's perfect for this job. Of course, he's an alum from Miami. He played under Howard Schellenberger at Miami back in the early 80s. It's exciting. And also, check this out for Miami. Mark Rich went 19-3 against the ACC opponents when he was at Georgia. And that's perfect. Miami wants that to keep happening because Miami, since moving to the ACC 12 years ago, they're still looking for their first league title. They've never had an ACC championship. Never in 12 years. The University of Miami. That is about to change. Miami has gone since 2001 without a national title, since 2003 without a 10-win season, and since 2006 without a bowl win. That's all about to change. That's all about to change. He's going to inherit a team that, again, went 8-4. You have Brad Kaya back. And majority of the guys are going to come back, the juniors that will become now seniors, because they're like, hey, there's a chance here. There's a chance for a huge change and a better change. So I love this pick. I was excited when it happened, and I'm excited. I was one of the first to break it. I'm so excited. I didn't get a whole lot of credit, though. I got a few retweets, but, of course, after that's what I hate. I broke the news pretty soon. And if you go on my timeline, on Twitter, @short_sports247. Go check it out. And you can check. And then it's all the other ones. The bigger networks, and they tweet it, and then they get like 100 and something retweets or whatever. And I'm just like, Man, I was here first. But it's all good. My time will come, guys. My time will come. Anyways, Michigan. This one I found somewhat shocking. Michigan defensive coordinator DJ Durkin has signed a 5-year, $12.5 million contract with Maryland to become their new head coach. And here's a weird part about the deal. I guess Maryland wasn't too sure about how everything's going to work out. They said if Durkin remains with the program for an entire full year, he will receive a one-time $2.65 million bonus. That was pretty funny. His annual salary is it will start at $2.4 million and increase by $50,000 each year. That is incredible. Now the hard part for him is that Maryland is in the same division as Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State. So he's always gonna have to play those teams each and every year. If he's on the other side, he only has to play like Penn State, and that's it. Everybody else sucks. Or in Iowa. So watch out. Forgot Iowa's pretty tough. Durkin said he did not want to construct a new staff hastily while wanting to take his time to find the correct fits, but he intends to remain busy in the coming weeks as he settles into his new job. And he will he's all forth towards Maryland. He's not going to be the defensive coordinator for Michigan's bowl game or anything else. It's all Maryland. And Maryland, I think this is a good hire. I mean, Durkin has been everywhere. He started off at Bowling Green with Urban Meyer, went to Florida, and then after that he went with Jim Harbaugh to Stanford and to Michigan now, and now head coach at Maryland. I think it's perfect. I like it. Maryland got a really good coach here. Probably paid him a lot more than I would have thought, but that's what it takes to get this type of coach. And Maryland's defense, it's going to be set. He's going to take control of that defense and have other offensive guys take over for that offense. He's got something. Maryland can be something. I mean, they were pretty good just a few seasons ago. It just takes a whole lot of time, especially when you have to play basically 3 automatic losses. Michigan's a question mark, but now they're getting better. So, almost 3. That's almost 3 losses right there in conference. So we'll see. And probably the last 2 biggest news in head coaching decisions is Georgia. It will hire Alabama defensive coordinator Kirby Smart to replace former head coach Mark Rich, of course, who was fired at Sunday after coaching the Bulldogs for 15 years. Now, Smart returning to his alma mater. He was a former Georgia safety and assistant coach. He has not signed a contract with the Bulldogs, and he won't be able to do so until after Crimson Tide has played Florida in Saturday's SEC championship game in Atlanta. But he is saying that he will remain with Alabama until Alabama, is done. So if they go to the playoffs, if they lose in the first game or in a championship game, then, that's when he's done. But I like this for Georgia. I do. Obviously, Kirby Smart has turned down a ton of head coaching jobs throughout his time at Alabama, waiting for either to become the Alabama head coach or saying, returning to his dream job or wanting to go to his dream job, which was being at Georgia and as the head coach. So everything lined up for him. Alabama's had one of the top defenses in college football since he's been there. And being able to recruit in the South and the SEC, he's going to be able to do the same thing. Now you got to wonder if there's any Alabama commits at defense if they flip on over to Georgia. I mean, because you got to think about it. And I don't know, obviously a lot of players end up picking Alabama when they had offers to go to a Florida school or to a California school. And I shake my head at that because it's I understand you want to win, but let's say you get an offer from UCLA, USC, and Cal, or any of the Cal schools really, and also schools from Florida, like Florida State, Florida, Miami, and then you turn all those down and go to Alabama. I shake my head because it's do you understand the difference in living? I mean, it's completely different from Alabama to, I don't know. We talked about it Monday. I'm just saying it's weird. But you got to think if those players start thinking, all right, do I want to live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and play for a different defensive coordinator? Don't really know if it's going to be the same or not. I want to go there. Or do I want to go and live in Athens, Georgia, which I'm not saying it's a ton better than Alabama and Tuscaloosa, but it might be. I've never been to either one. So, but I would think that Georgia would be better living-wise than in Alabama. So, you got to wonder if those defensive players say, hey, I really came here for Kirby Smart. He's going to be the head coach now. It's still taking over the defense at Georgia. Why not go there? You're going to have Nick Chubb back. They always have a running back at, both schools, really. I don't know. Me, personally, I would take Georgia. That's just me, but we'll just have to see. So, a good smart for Kirby Smart and good hire, actually, I should say. Good smart. Good hire for Georgia to go to Kirby to get Kirby Smart from Alabama. And then last news of college football, University of Central Florida, which lost every single game this season to finish the season 0-12, has hired Oregon offensive coordinator Scott Frost as their head coach, and another big win for them. Now at first I was like, this is huge. This is the offensive genius at Oregon is leaving to take the head coaching job at Central Florida. Central Florida is going to get a ton of recruits now. But the more I've talked to other people around Oregon and the more I've been listening, a lot of people say that, Scott Frost, while he's still an offensive genius and has learned, he's one of those guys that he didn't create the playbook. He was just there to put his input and, call the plays and did not very little. I'm not trying to take any credit from what he's done at Oregon, but it was really, Chip Kelly, Mark Helfrich, and then Scott Frost who really developed that offense in that order. So, not taking anything away. I'm not trying to get any hate from Oregon fans or Scott Frost fans or Central Florida fans that are now getting them that it's a bad pick. He's still going to have that same type of offense. He's still going to be able to put up a lot of points, a lot more than what UCF scored this season anyways. With their last game, they lost like 44-3 or something. So, offensively, and I think it's still a great hire for UCF, but, I thought it was going to be a much bigger thing, and it seems like it's just, okay, well, he was just in that system. So, we'll see. I know it doesn't make a ton of sense, but in my head it did. So, we're just going to rock with that. We're not going to do any of the rankings because, again, it doesn't matter. We all remember last season, and it's painful, but we got to go through it for those people that don't understand. Last season, TCU was at number 3. They win their last game against Iowa State 55-3. Could have put more, but they nailed it in the last 2 minutes basically in the red zone. They said, you know what? We got class. We're going to just let it be. We're pretty much in the playoffs. The next day, they find out they've dropped 3 spots to number 6 after winning 55-3. That's why none of these rankings matter until the last day. This Sunday, when we get the final rankings, that's when it all comes down. So we're not going to talk about any of the rankings. We don't care who's ranked where because at the end of the week, you're most likely not in that same spot. So we'll see. Thankfully, I will say thank you, just one small thank you to the committee for not dropping TCU after beating Baylor. Thank you. I was pretty sure we were out of the top 25, but you moved us up to 11. Thank you. Thank you. So let us do our picks for college football. Starting off at 11 a.m. on ESPN, it is Texas against Baylor in Waco, Texas. Baylor is a 20.5-point favorite, and you got to believe they are going to want to just punch Texas in the throat and just keep stepping on them and just keep doing everything they can in order to increase the rankings because Baylor still has something to play for here. People think Baylor's basically out. They can't win the Big 12, which is true, but they do have something to play for, and that is the Sugar Bowl. If Baylor wins, it all but guarantees them the Sugar Bowl matchup against Ole Miss. That is majority of the rankings if they beat Texas. So obviously, and they want to put up style points as well to be higher ranked and all this other stuff because the whole Big 12 scenario for the second place, third place, and fourth place is all kind of screwed up right now because Baylor, Oklahoma State, and TCU are all tied for second in one way or another. So it's really weird. So for Baylor's case, if they win, they're all basically in for the Sugar Bowl, which is great for them because they go to a New Year's Six Bowl. And also, it knocks down TCU from going because this is the weird part. Even though TCU lost to Oklahoma State, there's a part where if Baylor loses to Texas, then TCU goes to the Sugar Bowl. It's weird. It's crazy. I don't really get into all these other scenarios and stuff because it really doesn't matter until Sunday when we really find out. You can talk all of these tiebreakers and all this other crap. It doesn't matter because, it just doesn't because we don't know until Sunday. For Texas, they are also playing for something. Also for recruiting, but for getting 5-7 and hoping maybe something happens, they get a bowl game. I know you're thinking they're 5-7. They're not going to get a bowl. Well, there are a few teams that didn't. There wasn't enough teams that went 6-6 or better. So a couple of the 5-7 teams can make the bowl games, like Kansas State and a few others. So with that, if Texas wins, then they hope for a bowl game as well. I know it's crazy, but it can happen. So Texas has something to play for in that right as well. I'm going to go ahead and go with the safe pick in Baylor. I don't think it's going to rain this week. I really don't care if TCU goes. If TCU goes to the Sugar Bowl, I really just don't want to have to play Ole Miss again. But it looks like Ole Miss is the SEC representative for the Sugar Bowl. So I don't know. The TCU Ole Miss thing, it's not like I'm afraid. I think we would beat them again, but it'd just be boring. You don't want to play the same team again. I'd rather just have TCU go to the Alamo Bowl so I can go see them because they're in San Antonio. I'm in San Marcos. Bam. I can go see my team. I can't travel to Louisiana. But anyways, so I'm going to go Baylor here to win this game outright. The next game, Temple at Houston on ABC. This is for the AAC championship game. Greg Ward, the only player in FBS this season with at least 15 passing touchdowns and 15 rushing touchdowns. And I think Houston wins this. Houston's favorite by 6 points, but they're at home. They got everybody pumped up. Todd Herman, again, agreed to a contract through 2020 to make him the head coach. I think all momentum's on their side. I think they've watched enough film to see how to beat Temple. Because Temple had, lost to Notre Dame, and also, a really bad loss to South Florida. So, Houston, I got them to win it all. The SEC championship game, you have Florida against Alabama. Alabama an 18-point favorite in the Georgia Dome on CBS, 3 p.m. Central Time. While I want to pick Florida to win and create chaos if Alabama were to lose, Florida only put up 2 points and probably could take those away from Florida State. Florida State doesn't have a great defense, guys. They don't. I mean, they have a solid defense, but it's not Alabama great. So, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a shutout. A 37-0 shutout, something like that. Treon Harris, I did believe in him early in the season. It's just not going to happen. Going with Alabama to win this game and stay in the playoffs. USC taking on Stanford, 6:45 Central Time on ESPN. The Pac-12 championship, first ever for USC. Stanford comes in as a 4.5-point favorite. Stanford needs chaos to happen for them to get into playoffs, which is pretty crazy, seeing that last year a few teams that were one loss weren't thought of being good enough to be in the playoffs, while Stanford at 2 loss is. So we'll have to see. But while I want to take USC really, really badly here, I think Stanford just has too much defensively to stop USC and also offensively to just gash USC's defense with Christian McCaffrey, who has 1,600 yards rushing. I'm going to take Stanford with the W. 7 p.m. Central Time on Fox is the Big Ten championship game. Michigan State at Iowa. Michigan State a 3.5-point favorite. This is in Indianapolis. I just said at Iowa. Iowa's the home team. I don't know. This is tough, but I think we all just need to accept it, guys. We all just need to accept it. Iowa has a great defense. I think their defense is going to be able to shut down Michigan State at least a few times to get this offense going for Iowa. Michigan State, again, defense is not as it was previous seasons. I think Jordan Kanziri can really get this job done. The power game that they have at Iowa. C.J. Beathard, I think, can make enough plays to move around a little bit to at least move the chains. I'm going to take Iowa by 3 points to win this game. Iowa undefeated and goes to the playoffs undefeated. It's going to be incredible. And then finally, the last ranked game is the ACC championship game at 7 p.m. Central Time on ABC. North Carolina against Clemson in Charlotte, North Carolina. All comes down to this. Clemson just a 4.5-point favorite, and it's going to be tough. Remember, last time Clemson played a top offense, which was, the team that can really put up points was North Carolina State, and North Carolina put, 40 points on Clemson? North Carolina just beat North Carolina State pretty soundly. This is going to be a shootout. I know everybody's talking about Clemson's defense, that Clemson can, hold teams down, that they have a great defense. It is pretty solid, but when it plays a high-powered offense, they can't contain them. I think Clemson still gets this win. I'm going to go with Clemson and still win it, but it's not going to be outright. It's not going to be a 40-20 game. I think it's going to be Clemson 42, North Carolina 35. Round that. That's what I'm going to go with. And Clemson undefeated as well into the playoffs. And that is it for college football. We'll move on to the NFL. Just quick news on the NFL side before we get onto our picks. But that is it. It's going to be crazy. If chaos happens, Iowa loses, and Clemson might lose. Clemson and Alabama. Imagine all three lose. Talk about real chaos. Clemson, Iowa, and Alabama all lose, which is, I don't think Alabama loses to Florida, but if something weird did happen and they did lose, like on special teams or something, just imagine the chaos we're about to have, guys. It's going to be crazy. The NFL made the stupidest decision ever, and that was having Coldplay. They were announced as the halftime performance of Super Bowl 50. Coldplay. I'm sorry. I thought we were in 2015 going into 2016, not 2005 going into 2006. I'm sorry. That's just me. I didn't know Coldplay even existed still. Bruno Mars, who performed alongside Red Hot Chili Peppers at the halftime last year, is also slated to perform at Super Bowl 50. Actually, it wasn't last year. It was, I don't know. They put the Roman numbers and Roman numbers, whatever. I can't read them. So, whatever, when they performed, they're slated to perform as well in Super Bowl 50. So we're going to have multiple performances from everybody. The Wall Street Journal reported that Beyonce, who worked with Coldplay on its new album, which they're about to release apparently, is also in negotiations to appear at halftime show. So we're going to have Coldplay, old school band. We're going to have Bruno Mars and the Red Hot Chili Peppers at some point during the show. And we're going to have Beyonce throw up the Illuminati sign at some point during the show as well. It's unbelievable. This halftime is going to be freaking weird. I don't know why we couldn't get like Taylor Swift, Adele, people that are actually, on it this year. Bring back Bruno Mars. Maybe he should. I thought he was the main guy. Now I remember him saying he was going to perform at Super Bowl 50. I thought he was the main guy. I thought he was the show. And I was okay with it because Bruno Mars probably had the best halftime show in forever. So I don't know. Just freaking weird. Let's go ahead and do our picks for NFL, and then we'll go with the interview with Triune and wrap up the show, which it was a great interview. That's why I'm trying to speed through the show. I want to get to the interview. It's awesome interview with those guys. So let's go ahead and do our picks right now. We're going to skim through them. Obviously, the Packers and the Lions were a great game. That was having the Lions look like their offense got it going, and they were just going to dominate this win and get a sweep over the Green Bay Packers. And then the Packers came alive in the second half. Richard Rodgers, a 61-yard catch in the end zone, halftime Hail Mary to win the game. He finished with 8 receptions, 146 yards, and a touchdown. Just unbelievable game for this whole game. But even though the Packers are excited they won this game, there's a ton of concern right now. There has to be. Yes, you can celebrate you got a W, but at the same time, it's like you guys probably should have lost this game. The face mask penalty, everybody's looking at those pictures because of the memes that he grabbed the shoulder of Aaron Rodgers. While he did, he also just barely touched the face mask of Aaron Rodgers. Kind of just grazed it a little bit, pulled it just a tiny bit down with his finger that then went onto the shoulder. You got to remember, he did barely pull it, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes. So, and also, I think the throw before that, though, it looked like there was going to be pass interference called. Now, he didn't really turn his back until it was really, really last second. And I don't know if that's going to count. But anyways, it didn't. Packers go on to win it 27-23 at the end. Packers 8-4. Lions drop to 4-8. So the rest of the games we will pick. Jets at the Giants, which it's not really at. It's just, whatever. Jets are a 1-point favorite. I'm taking the Giants here. I'm going to take the Giants, whether the Jets have their defense or not. Odell Beckham already had 1,000 yards again. And I'm going to take the Giants here. I believe they'll get it done. I think last week against Washington, they probably came into big-headed, and Washington just set them straight. And I think the Giants will get this W here to improve at 500. The Cardinals against the Rams. Cardinals a 7-point favorite. Going with the Cardinals here. Cardinals will now be 10-2 with the victory. Falcons at the Buccaneers. This is a tough game to pick because I really started to believe in the Buccaneers after 2 weeks ago when they won against whoever was it, Dallas or somebody. They had a big victory. I thought they could beat the Colts last week, and then they just pooped right on the field. It was bad. And so it makes me question Tampa Bay, but I feel like they're going to be on a better spot than the Falcons are. I think Tampa Bay, especially since it's at home, gets this victory, and they need it too, because then that puts them 2 games over. They sweep the Falcons, and when it all comes down, they have the same record, which right now Falcons are 6-5, Buccaneers are 5-6. If it comes down at the end of the year, they end up with the same record, whatever it might be. And for a playoff spot, Tampa Bay holds the tiebreaker because they beat them twice. So they need this victory very much badly over the Falcons. So I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. I'm giving them one more chance, one more shot for the Buccaneers to get this W. Seahawks at the Vikings. This could be a playoff preview right here against these teams. It's going to be probably the best game of the week. I'm going to really enjoy this. Hopefully I'm able to even watch it. And it's a tough game. Seahawks coming back to life now. They did give up 30-something points to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And also the Vikings can run the ball. Adrian Peterson is back, ladies and gentlemen. If you weren't introduced to him just yet, he is officially back. I'm going to introduce him to you now. It's going to be an interesting matchup against the Seattle defense, which isn't the greatest that we've seen in the past few years, but it's still the Seahawks defense. It's going to be exciting. I'm taking Minnesota just because I think they sketch it out by 3 points, but it's going to be an exciting game. Texans at the Bills. Texans are on a hot streak right now. Bills are just kind of in between, just on life support. They're just kind of barely breathing right now. Buffalo is a 3-point favorite. They are home. I'm going to take Buffalo just because I feel like they can kind of squeeze it through, but I'm not going to be surprised if Texans win this game. Ravens at the Dolphins, going with the Ravens here. Dolphins are just falling apart. The Bengals versus the Browns, going with the Bengals. Jaguars at the Titans. I'm hoping the Titans can get this game, especially it'll be their first win at home. Jaguars really just had a terrible game against the Chargers, a game that I thought they can win easily. I'm going to take the Titans here because I still believe in Marcus Mariota, and I believe they can get something done here. Going with the Titans. 49ers at the Chicago Bears. Bears a 8.5-point favorite. Huge 8.5-point favorite. And I'm going to take the Bears to win this game. They're finding the groove. They're finding their groove. Broncos at the Chargers. Going with the Broncos here. I think they just absolutely control this game throughout the entire time. Broncos get the W. And Chargers, can you just lose, please? Just lose. Just lose. I want you to lose. I want the first overall pick in the NFL draft. You have nothing else to play for right now. You're not going to make the playoffs, and you're not good enough, even if you did make the playoffs somehow, to win a playoff game. Just lose. I mean, you're trying to just – it's like we're trying to make ourselves better by losing so we can get better draft pick or trade and get better draft picks. And it's like, no, we don't want that for the program or for the freaking team. We just want to continue to suck by drafting in like the 11th pick overall or something. Just lose, guys. Just lose. Chiefs at the Raiders. I'm going with the Raiders here. I'm going with the Raiders at home. They know they got to start winning these games, get back in this race. As the Chiefs are hot right now and the Raiders are not, got to get something going. Taking the Oakland Raiders here. Panthers at the Saints. Panthers. Why would I not? Eagles against the Patriots. Another great game. It's gonna be good, but I'm going with the Patriots here. They are an 11-point favorite. Sunday night is the Colts against the Steelers. A game I don't understand. See, you can have arguments for who could be Sunday night. You can have the Eagles at Patriots. That could be a Sunday night game. Panthers at the Saints. That could be a Sunday night game. And mainly my favorite pick, Seahawks at the Vikings. That should be a Sunday night game, not the Colts and Steelers. Nobody cares about the 40-year-old Matt Hasselbeck and the injured Steelers. Like, I don't understand. But Pittsburgh is a 7.5-point favorite. And I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game and get back to their winning ways with a W. And then Monday Night Football, we have the Dallas Cowboys taking on Washington. 7:30 Central Time. Washington is a 4.5-point favorite. And I'm taking Washington. I mean, we have seen the team with Matt Castle. We've seen the Cowboys basically without Tony Romo. 7 without Tony Romo. So I'm taking the Washington team to win this game because it's just Washington. I mean, they're much better right now. They're on a hot streak more than Dallas is. So Washington would improve to 600 at 6-6, and they're 5-1 at home right now. So if that's anything for you, and Cowboys would drop to 3-9. Ouch. So that is it for the show, but we have the interview with Triune and EQ. Again, the artist who wrote the song Forever, an amazing song. You hear more about what the work they got going next. It's incredible what they're about to have. Hopefully have them on the show again once everything is out with them. It's going to be incredible. I hope you guys enjoyed this interview as much as I enjoyed listening to these guys. They are awesome, and they know sports. They know what they're talking about. We talk about everything from college football, the NFL, and even NBA basketball. Thank you guys so much, and here's the interview with Triune and EQ. Like I said earlier in the show, we would have Triune and EQ, the artist who wrote the song Forever that you can buy on iTunes. And it is the intro that you guys have heard every show this past few weeks. Absolutely love it. Triune EQ, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Not a problem. Thanks for having me. We appreciate it, man. Thank you.
So first of all, Triune EQ, just explain a little bit about yourself growing up, getting into music. How did that all happen?
Well, that's a very easy story for me to tell. I actually was benefited, and blessed at a very young age, obviously, to realize that my mom was in the big time. My mom is a Grammy Award winner, so I grew up around music. It was very easy for me becoming the artist that I am today. EQ, everything I owe to the experiences that I had with her. It was very, very easy for me to get into music because I got to watch her do it every day.
Yeah, and as for myself, just growing up in the environment, seeing certain things and realizing that the music kind of described where I was, what I was going through and where I was from. It just kind of happened naturally.
Right. And when and how did both of y'all meet?
So we actually met through a mutual friend. We've known of each other for quite some time before we actually started working together. And then we kind of just built a friendship after we met a handful of years ago. And then kind of some of our, people around us told us, hey, you guys should work together. You should work together. You should work together. And then we did a couple of records for my last project. And they came out so good that we just decided, we should just do a project together. So that's kind of how the Forever record came together. And we're working on a whole actual project together. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Awesome. Now, like I said earlier, you guys have made a tremendous song in Forever that's been played in sports arenas and most popular from a football miniseries on YouTube by Max Preps covering California high school football powerhouse at Long Beach Poly. Now, over 128,000 people have listened to that song through those videos and many comments saying, what's the name of that song? Who's the artist? And when they all found out, they go to your links and everything. Now, what went into creating the song?
EQ can explain that perfectly.
I mean, it was just, it was a blessing, man. The stars just kind of aligned for us. I had my cousin actually does a lot of freelance video work for a company called USA Football, which is charitable organization affiliated with the NFL, and as well as ESPN. He's done a lot of stuff. So, he was filming this series and called me about 3 days before he was supposed to have it, the final cut of it, sent in, and said that he was in desperate need of a song. He said that he had a theme song already, but it just wasn't what he needed, and could we put anything together? So literally that day I had, a beat sent over, called Triune immediately. The two of us got together, and within 72 hours we had the song done. And it was a great experience. Music like this, it doesn't take a lot of energy to put together. So it was more like opportunity and preparation meeting at the right time.
Right. And just real quick, getting into sports questions now. A lot of people, listen to the show for that, and getting y'all's take on it. So who are y'all's favorite teams, professionally and collegiate?
Hey, Try, you go ahead and take that first.
All right, so collegiate level, I can't say I'm a fan of anyone in particular. I just really like to see great college games, whether that be football, baseball, basketball. So I can't really say that I have a college team. As far as pros are concerned, I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a Laker fan.
There we go.
I'm a 49er fan, and I'm a Kings fan.
Awesome. EQ?
Yeah, man. My sports teams are a little random, but there's reasons behind all of them. So bear with me. But I'm definitely a USC football guy. Being from LA, USC football. Love watching the Trojans growing up. I have many friends that played for UCLA's basketball team, so I actually love UCLA basketball. As far as professional, my pops my pops is from Seattle. LA never had a team, so I always actually watched the Hawks growing up, and I'm a real fan of the Hawks, not a bandwagon fan. I was a fan for the first Super Bowl defeat with the Ben Roethlisberger incident and all of that.
Right.
And so it's go Hawks all day. And then obviously being from LA, if you're not a Laker fan, then turn the other direction. That's just is what it is.
See, this is exactly everything worked out. Lakers fan here, and we're gonna get into the Kobe Bryant retiring stuff in just a little bit. And also, I moved to Seattle after I graduated high school, and was there. My first year was when they went to the Super Bowl. Just when they won against the and now this is yeah, and so it was just amazing to be there and throughout that experience, because I'm from a town where. From San Marcos, which is between Austin and San Antonio, no big NFL teams other than, Houston and Dallas. So being a sports fan, having, never witnessed what it's like to be in a real sports town, NFL pro style, town, and being able to experience all of that. Though I'm not a Seahawks fan, I like them, but not, a true fan for them. But to experience all of that, see them go through, the Super Bowl and stuff like that was a tremendous opportunity and fun. So with that, both of you guys being Lakers fans, Kobe Bryant announced that he would retire at the end of the season. What was your reaction to it? Did you see it coming? How do you feel about it, especially with the slow start they've had the past few years and now? What was y'all's reaction to it?
I mean, it was kind of a dual reaction. So I was a person that was an advocate of him retiring mid-season. And the reason why is because I feel like it's painful watching watching him in his current state. I've been a Laker fan since I was conceived. So Watching, I went to, Long Beach State and saw him play as a rookie in the summer league all the way up until now. So seeing his progression, through the Shaq days and winning those championships, and then seeing him go through the valley again to only reach a peak again with Powell and Ron Artest and that whole squad. It's tough to see somebody that was once that great play in the state. I didn't see an announcement coming, but it was kind of, it was kind of a dual reaction. One was, I'm kind of happy for him that he can kind of take the monkey off of his back. It kind of seemed like something that was tough for him to deal with this season. Also the sadness of it, it's really, really the end of an era. Like that class of '96. There's just no more of them. He's the last of them, and that was one of the greatest classes in NBA history. And it's sad to see him go, but Father Time is undefeated, man.
Yeah, Try couldn't have said it any better, honestly. I definitely understand what Try is saying as far as it's hard to watch, and it certainly is at times. It's been tough to watch, but I admire Kobe's determination over anything. I know a lot of people are saying, well, he's not playing at his peak or he's not playing at his best and he should retire. I get that, but there's also something that I admire about him, which is that the guy just has so much heart. You can't tell him no. He's trying to fight Father Time, which everyone knows we all lose to him, but he's still fighting, and I admire that. And I think that that's one thing that separates Kobe from a lot of other people. I think that that's one of the biggest reasons why they make him as the closest comparison to Jordan, because Jordan was the same way. And I really believe that the league will never be the same. There will never be another Michael Jordan, as there will never be another Kobe Bryant. So it's a sad thing, but all good things must come to an end. Right.
And I guess just switching over for college football and for UEQ, USC getting a huge win over the rival UCLA, a big 41-20 victory, which now advances them to their first ever Pac-12 championship game against Stanford this upcoming weekend. So how do you feel about that? What's your prediction on it?
You know what? I'm gonna make a really bold prediction, man. I'm gonna say USC 27, Stanford 17. Reason why I make that prediction is because we played Stanford earlier in the year. We all know how that ended. Obviously, I firmly believe that the coaching staff right now, obviously the change, I know all of that with Sarkisian and all that going on was a huge emotional roller coaster for the players. I can only imagine being 21 years old, playing football, going through all of that with my head coach. And, obviously now I think that they've banded together. They've huge win last week. They just played. There was so much continuity in the defense. It really seemed like it almost seemed like they hadn't missed a beat, like we hadn't made a coaching change at all. It was kind of interesting, but I think they're going to come out strong. I think the defense is going to be just manhandling that front line of the Stanford offense there, and I think they're going to give their offense a really tough time. I look for the defense to come up big.
I like it. And I guess finally going on, actually two more things. One, do you believe the Carolina Panthers can and will go undefeated this season? And do you think when will Golden State lose a game?
All right, so I've been watching the Panthers real closely, and given the competition in the NFC, I do think they can go undefeated. I really do. As far as Golden State, and I want to kind of expound on that a little bit. So I think Carolina is the real deal. I think Carolina can go all the way. I think they can go all the way and win it, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be tough if they have to meet the Pats in the Super Bowl. And I think it'll also be tough if they have to kind of cross Seattle's pathway. But being that they're undefeated and it's looking like they're going to secure home field throughout, they have to probably drop 3 out of the last 6 games. And Arizona would have to probably win out for them to lose home field advantage. But I think everyone having to go to Carolina is going to make things a little bit more difficult for everyone else and a little bit easier on them. As far as Golden State, I think game 27 or 26 they played Cleveland. And I think you have two stops. So that game, if they can get to that game and win that game, I think they can possibly get to like 31 wins without losing.
Like it.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I feel similar in some ways. I think that Carolina is going to go undefeated during the regular season. I see that the regular season schedule, is very much in their favor as far as getting W's for the rest of the year. They're going to put themselves in a good position to have home field throughout, potentially first round bye. I think that once they get to that second round of the playoffs and that get to that championship game, I really think that they're going to be given some problems. I know that in the NFL, and I mean you can say this about any sport, but it remains true, is that the playoffs are a whole different animal. The regular season is one thing, and the playoffs are another. As of yet, the Panthers, in their entirety, as far as their roster, are not proven in the playoffs. They're not proven in that time. So, as much as I believe that they're a good team, I definitely give them credit where it's due. I think that they'll go 16-0 during the regular season, but I do not think that they will be going to the Super Bowl or winning it. I think that they have a big test. If they prove me wrong, hey, then so be it. But I'm gonna take the safe bet and say that no, they do not win the Super Bowl. As far as the Golden State, man, my God, this dude Steph Curry is just out of this world, man. Me and Triune were doing some calculations yesterday, and this cat Steph Curry has the ability to make over 1,000 threes in a season this year. Like, if he does that, like, let's put that in perspective. I think we said Ray Allen's record was what, 2,900 and something like that, almost 3,000. So Steph Curry can quite literally take almost a third of that out in a season. It's just unbelievable to watch this guy play. Team light skinned all day, but I think that I think that tries right. I think that test in Cleveland is going to be really tough. We actually got to watch Cleveland play last night, and it was a little weird watching them play because it was just from the opening tip. LeBron specifically, he just didn't look like he was in the game. Mentally, it was like something was going on. It was really weird. It's just, just not what we're used to seeing. But I definitely think that test with Cleveland, that's going to be a tough game. If Golden State can win that game, I'll say that they might not have a loss before the All-Star break. It's possible. It's certainly possible. It's crazy, but it's the way they're playing right now. It's definitely possible.
Right, and that leads me into your guys. And now, Triune, I saw you made a YouTube video on it discussing the sports and discussing your Super Bowl predictions. Now, that was earlier in the season. I think even before the season start. So now, almost majority of the way through, what are your Super Bowl and NBA Finals predictions?
Okay, so Super Bowl predictions are a lot easier now. Excuse me. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Patriots, and I'm gonna have to go with Carolina. I don't see anyone in the AFC that, even with Gronkowski out, I still don't see anyone in the AFC that's really gonna be able to go to Foxborough and get a W in the playoffs. It's really tough for me to it's tough for me to see that. And I think if Carolina is able to hold on to home field throughout, it's going to be really tough to go there and win as well, especially with that defense. As far as the NBA is concerned, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that the finals will be Golden State. I think that Golden State's going to beat San Antonio, and I can't even believe that I'm saying this, but just the way that they're playing, I think as a team they're shooting like 43% from three or something. It's just insane. So I have to go with Golden State until they prove to me that someone can beat them in a 7-game series. And I'm going to go with Miami in the finals.
Ooh.
That's a sleeper.
I'm going to go with Miami in the finals. I think that they get hot at the right time. I think they start heating up in April, end of March, April. and I think they upset Cleveland. And I think they upset Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals.
How do you think LeBron reacts to that?
I think he'll actually be relieved, to be honest with you. My thing with last year, to be completely objective, even though I'm a Lakers fan, and that kind of simultaneously means you kind of not root for LeBron. Last season they caught a tough break. Losing Kevin Love earlier in the playoffs, losing Kyrie first game. They caught a bad break, and I think that the outcome of that finals is different had they not had those injuries. I think it'll be a weight off of LeBron's shoulders to not get all the way to the finals and lose again. I'd rather him, given his legacy being at stake, I'd rather him lose earlier in the playoffs than add another loss to his finals record.
Mm.
Yeah, well, I'm not too far off. I'm going to go ahead and say rematch, man. Because, Super Bowl, baby. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's beating the Patriots, on that side of the football. But nobody want to see the Hawks in the playoffs either, man. I'm telling you, right now our defense is not playing very well. Our offense is playing exceptionally well. That is not what we're used to.
Right.
The defense is going to get better. They're not going to play any worse. Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, they're going to get it together. That's really been the soft spot the last 2 weeks on defense has been the safety area, which is certainly not what we're used to with two all-pro players like Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. So I don't think that anyone is going to beat Seattle in that moment, whether we're away or at home. I think that they're gonna come through the conference strong, and we're gonna see a rematch of last year's Super Bowl with Seattle and New England. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now that the final score is gonna be 35-28 Seattle, calling it now before the Super Bowl. As far as the NBA Finals, I'm gonna also shock the world a little bit. I'm gonna say Golden State. That's obviously the easy part, and I'm gonna say the Eastern Conference champion is gonna be the Indiana Pacers. And the reason why is that I've been watching them play. Paul George is on a mission. This dude is playing out of his mind right now. I'm so happy that he's back and healthy. That backcourt they got, George Hill, all those guys, they're playing extremely well. They got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because of what's been said about them over the last couple of years. They lost Roy Hibbert, obviously came to the Lakers. Hasn't really been a big help to us since he got here, but we won't talk about that. But so I'm going to make a bold prediction and say Indiana beats Cleveland in the conference finals in 6 games and meets Golden State in the NBA Finals.
I like it.
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
So you going to give us yours?
All right. Well, honestly, if like you said, if Carolina gets the home field, I think it's going to be tough for the Hawks. I could see a last-second field goal for the Hawks to get it done. I don't think they can win outright. But I'm going to probably just go ahead and take Carolina. And on the AFC side, it's really tough. I hate the NFL overtime rules. I would have loved to see Tom Brady see what he could have done in overtime after the Broncos would have scored. So, Broncos are making a case that defense obviously shutting down the Patriots and Brock Osweiler. We really don't know too much. He's got 2 games, 2 W's under his belt, but is it effective enough to go against the Patriots another time? Because most likely that's what we're going to see in the AFC Championship unless the Steelers can do something crazy. So I'm probably it's a reach, but I'm probably going to go Carolina and Denver in the Super Bowl with Carolina pulling it out.
Interesting. Okay, that's not a bad pick at all.
And NBA, obviously, my Lakers, not going to happen. But I would love to see 7 games with San Antonio and Golden State. I think we missed out on that last year. It would have been a different matchup. So hopefully we can see that again at some point throughout the playoffs. Most hopefully, in the NBA, in the Western Finals. I feel like San Antonio has a better bench that could come out and stay through the game and keep it close. But just the way Golden State's playing, I can't really see anybody just beating them in 70 games. Probably going to take Golden State. And on the other side, Eastern Conference is so tough. I mean, they're not really tough. It's just hard. It's tough to make a pick on them. Probably, I think a dark horse would be Chicago. That could do something. If not, gonna have to go with Cleveland. But,
all right. There it is. That's fair.
There it is.
But that's basically it for what I have for you guys. I appreciate it, and I love this song. Thank you guys so much for letting the Short Sports Show use the song. You can buy Triune's new album, Raised to Fail, Born to Succeed, on iTunes now, and also the song Forever featuring EQ. Buy it on iTunes as well. Anywhere you can get it. It's an amazing song. Thank you guys so much for letting us use the song. We appreciate it. All their links will be down in the description below. And is there anything you guys want to add?
Yeah, so we're currently working on a joint project that's going to be kind of give you guys the concept of it. It's called The Combine. And the concept of the album is using kind of being unrestricted free agents in the music business, using that as a metaphor to being kind of like either a college student or an unrestricted free agent athlete. And so basically the whole album is going to have sports material on it. So we're looking at dropping it second quarter of next year. We have a new single that we're going to be shooting a video for pretty soon, and we're also going to be shooting a video for Forever.
Awesome.
Pretty soon. So when we get that, we'll definitely shoot you guys over, the new single and, get your opinion, see how you guys like it. And, just, all the listeners just, keep abreast of that. Keep your ear to the street on that. It'll be out second quarter 2016.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys coming on to the show.
Combine.
And I look forward to it.
Oh, yeah. And there was one more thing I wanted to add. Go Hawks.
There we go. All right, I appreciate you guys.
For sure, man. Thank you.
Dragon making my statement on. I ain't going nowhere. This the place that I'm making home. I'll do this shit forever. Hit the gas and I'm taking off. Ow. I was born with passion. My job is never ending.